far more
No,
problematic.
matter is actually easy.
Matter is easy
because you can
how is it easy? Because
you can
right there.
identify planets. You can
the titanium is not going to lie like on the surface, lies the package right next to like the silica.
Which is why you drop.
So I mean, think about
so you
can't extract iron, magnesium from the
that's
soil.
because it's already available.
Alright, so what you do
It's not available in elemental form.
Iron and stuff.
It doesn't need to be.
A lot of the iron is a lot of like the magnesium and stuff is available.
It's all oxides.
Oh yeah.
So
but it's not readily available in every environment.
No, what you're saying is they may not be there on the surface.
No, not every
And
environment.
those are just
So
for
you
plants.
might
So
actually
unless you want to make like this airtight bases like the lunar base out of bamboo,
So
you can't really
mind you, I'm not
get in the materials.
vouching for the lunar base, mind you, this was NASA.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But
like
what I'm saying is, take the
I'm not saying
extreme
it isn't a solution.
Yeah, you
I'm just saying that it's a
drop tons of.
So you want to ship tons of materials.
Well,
then you might as well just
when I
ship
say
the ready-made thing.
When I say tons, I mean lots of extreme.
Well, here's the thing.
That's
Let's,
the beauty of it.
for example, swarm robots, right?
Yeah.
Instead of sending one or two big things which may have problems, if
You
an
send out a
emergent
plane.
behavior of them is to form systems that are more robust, well, just the fact that you're not so small, I mean, most of them may die or be destroyed en route, and if enough of them left over are able to reproduce on their own and still maintain those emergent behaviors. If their emergent behavior simply is fine material and concentrated into tubers or into coral reefs, that's useful. It'd be nice to go find a coral reef made of mostly steel something.
Exactly. Now this was, I was actually thinking of coral polyps when I thought this up, because you can see the thing is.
That's why I asked you if it was a safety feature, because if we can make coral reefs and microorganisms, what do we need a Garden of Eden for?
Well, yeah, true. Except this coral reef would have like iron and stuff that machines can actually use. So the thing is, the machines are expensive,
Okay, no, I get
so
that.
what you do is you send out. When I say bucket loads, don't take it literally. When you send out bucket loads of really cheap
of the raw materials, but then you run out of the raw materials.
No, not the raw materials.
Not the materials.
The extremophiles, which is what I convert raw materials. Most of them.
Okay, that's fine, but then the problem is you won't automatically you won't find a single spot that will have everything you need. Like if you look at if you consider anything like blue-green bacteria,
so which is why you bootstrap.
Blue-green, I mean
No,
bacteria.
you're going to need a mix of extremophiles that can adapt to.
If you want that could be one of the
something that
solutions.
can thrive in a sulfur dioxide environment back in the day. You can't send like tardigrades you can send because they need oxygen.
Yes,
they can't do their own photosynthesis.
Yes.
You're going to need to send other
because as they reproduce, they'll consume more oxygen and they require more oxygen. So basically, you'll be creating an ecosystem. Because if you consider it,
no,
in
you don't create an ecosystem.
like
but
if you consider,
could.
Well, you have to in a way.
Not a complete ecosystem. You send out enough that they can create predictable conditions in which you can work.
Okay, say for instance,
are not an ideal example.
So there's a failure rate. Someone who's not going to manage
Massive
it.
failure. But that's cheap.
Tardigrades can't survive on their own.
Okay,
so
they need other organisms to.
Yes, tardigrades were an example.
Yeah.
Because they're the only known organism to survive in outer space. They have
you're just going to need to come up with a mix of various things.
Yes.
And when they land there, based on what conditions there are, some will die off and some will.
So a mix of things that resist each other in certain ways, like where the weakness of
mix of
things. It's like you throw everything at the wall.
Yeah. And some will
six. Based on what the environment down there is.
Well, I guess this mainly applies to the grey goo thing.
Yeah.
Say this is the area of the planet. This is planet surface.
Yes.
And you send a volume machine that requires the white frosting.
Okay.
Right. You will send it in the center here, and it'll grow in a star pattern.
Yeah.
And then once it reaches the borders here, there's no more white frosting.
Alright.
That's it. It's done. You get it? It can't move beyond that.
True.
Just the same way.
So which is why while it's this is the bootstrap process, right? It's not one single giant.
I'm just pointing out a problem with it. That's all. I think the problem of materials is far more than energy. Because we are means of energy.
These are problems that need to be solved, which is why.
I think I'm not trace minerals. We talk about specialization. If it needs a bunch of trace minerals, it'll run into the edge of the cake problem.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like that's why we don't really have to worry about the grey goo thing as well. I don't think it's that.
Well,
maybe thousands of years in the future.
You can say humans are grey goo, and we.
But that's a good point, right? Organisms are technically one new machines. They had billions of years. I mean, they've done quite a good job of colonizing the entire planet. But also, not one species has really done that well, apart from arguably
That's because they evolve and adapt like man.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much diversification going on.
So you have to
And here's the thing.
Yeah, bacteria are massively successful,
Yeah,
and
but
so
the
are
difference
ants.
is
But the difference between organisms
No,
and
live organisms are not a good example because if you look at the world's evolutionary history, we've ended up with humans who do an excellent job of killing each other. That's not the kind of things that we want. We want space probes which will do what we want. Okay, yeah, that's true. We can send out stuff and they will evolve and they will diversify, but then we have not advanced. We have created an alien race that then can advance, but we have not advanced as humans. We don't want humans. We don't want intelligent life. We just want something that will build a platform for itself.
That's a value judgment. Not everyone doesn't want intelligent life, but carry on.
Yeah.
I was just pointing out. Okay, see, I made the comparison between organisms and monument machines.
Yeah, because organisms are monument machines.
Because yeah, they essentially are. And the difference is an organism's primary goal is simply to survive and to pass on its genes.
Yes.
It will evolve and then whatever it will still pass on its genes. That is the prime directive. That's the only purpose we can really figure it out.
Yes.
Whereas if you send a machine, it has a specific purpose.
Yes.
So if you give it a mechanism to evolve, it will simply lose it could possibly lose that purpose. Say we send a monument machine to create a habitable. Because we're not just sending things just for the sake of it, right? We're sending it for a certain purpose.
This is where you miss the second part, right? Now once a picture, imagine in your head that the Garden of Eden has been created, right? It doesn't look anything like a garden, but what it is essentially a bunch of
It's a robot womb. It's a big feedstock warehouse.
So you're terraforming a small area.
Terraforming a small area, right?
Okay.
No, you're making a factory. You're making a storehouse full of minerals and resources, all tagged, and someone keeps track of inventory and keeps maintaining the inventory automatically.
Well,
Ideally.
Remember the little principle?
What?
The little.
Look, ideally, you could just radio in instructions for what it should make.
No, I mean,
But that's the thing, Navin. See, you give it. Say you want it to make something that requires like 5 tons of ore, and it can't obtain 5 tons of ore. It can only obtain 4 tons. If it were a regular organism, it would simply the community of organisms might evolve or speciate to work on fewer than 5 tons of ore, or it will work on a different type of ore that's available nearby as well in abundance.
That is true.
But then it loses its primary focus. It loses its primary function. But that's fine for an organism because it only cares about survival.
That's true.
But when you're talking about a machine, you have a specific purpose for it. It uses, say, 5 tons of titanium to build a titanium warehouse. Let's just assume a titanium warehouse. It's probably a warehouse. If it evolves to not use titanium, it's not going to make a titanium warehouse. So that purpose is, the purpose is one thing, but then what it actually does is different. So that's my point. Like, it provides, it's one thing.
It sounds if you want that kind of flexibility, where it's one thing to make these things.
We are cutting out part of that flexibility.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's one thing that was touched on. I wanted to point out.
This is a weakness of the system. We are cutting out part of that weakness because if we do include that weakness, we might end up with something. Either we might end up with
It depends on.
Yeah,
but then there's also the element of human supervision, right, or robot supervision, where we essentially send in the drone, send in these second stage robots only to gardens of Eden that actually have these materials identified, that have a certain amount of these materials.
Yeah, but then you're simply limited, and I guess
It depends on what you want to do. Like if you. Okay.
Sorry?
If you are compromising on the AI, you can't avoid a grid scenario.
Pardon?
Yeah, I guess. And
If you're adapting the purpose.
Yeah, you can't let it adapt so dynamically. You
Until
can
you give it the ability to change elements.
you can only let it bootstrap through a process you design because otherwise you end up with human. Simple.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Like you might potentially end up with a brand new species that you created, that they're enjoying their happy lives there.
Several times.
Yeah, so you haven't, like humans.
I hear it. Motherfucker, we created that shit.
It's our neighbor's annoying dog.
Right, so we have, to conclude, we have created Royal College and that is it about
Royal College.
non-human machines.
Okay, well thank you very much everyone. Thank you for the discussion as well.
So feedback, how